Good morning, everyone. How are you? Okay, good. Okay. So I have a good news for you. This is probably the only conference you will hear this year that is about an intelligence that is not artificial. Okay? We're going to talk about ownership intelligence. On this very stage, we've learned about the damages of user personal data exploitation by big tech and social media. The incentive of social media is the race for engagement, as we've heard yesterday. But what about the business model? Selling user data to advertisers to sell more product. And even though we've learned about the urgent need for circularity and about the incredible potential of secondhand, yet not much has changed. We still pay big tech to reach more people to sell more new product. So let's dive into the future of how user-owned data and how digital product passports can contribute to solve some of these challenges. So first is the circularity challenges. We only use today 20% of the garment we own. And yet, 100% of brands' revenues, growth, and profits come from new products sold. So how can we imagine that this industry can truly become circular if that doesn't change? Until a significant part of brands' revenue comes from secondhand, there's no possible change. The second challenge is the client data control. Obviously, collecting data is great, but any piece of data expensively collected is immediately obsolete, it is natively static, so hard to secure and protect against leaks. People don't care about sharing their lives on social or with ChatGPT, but they're less willing to leave their data everywhere because it's just inconvenient. So the risk is to see first-party data disappear behind social logins and hide my email and other seamless features that will reinforce the need for third-party data. And because third-party data is less and less efficient, and it is expensive, and the regulator is going after it, and cookies are gone, and the side effects, obviously, of data centralization by big tech has proven to be disastrous for the wider world. So that brings me to the third challenge, compliance. We've heard about it a lot today. GDPR for data, AGEC in France, Eco-design soon, introducing digital product passports, green claim. At the end of the day, all of that is going to force brands to attach a persistent data to every single object they sell in the EU, with the goal to push users to choose better, to push brands to produce better, but also mainly to push to reuse and resell and recycle. So before exploring how these challenges can be tackled with digital product passport, Imran asked me to show you what is a digital product passport. How is that going to work? So I took the example of the newly released Mugler bag to show you a little video and explain how that works. Okay, so we see it. So a digital product passport is a persistent data about a product, accessible through a page, a piece of data where you can, an interface, where users, regulators, resellers will be able to learn everything about the product at any moment of the life cycle. How it's been made, produced, content that will have to be carefully curated, on top of what will be mandatory. To offer a meaningful experience, really about people, something about what people will care. A digital product passport is also a new touch point, okay, to engage users in a contextualized way, valuable way, around services and utility built on top of the product experience. And where it becomes interesting is that where ownership intelligence comes in, is the possibility when someone buys the product and owns the product to collect this passport, to collect a piece of data related to the product that is controlled by the user. So you can do that in a new kind of a client account, embedding the possibilities of tokenization. That is now more than about just purchases. It's about what you own, about new services, the possibility to resell easily, content and communications that are perfectly curated, new features, the possibility to record events in the history of ownership and to share this history of ownership, access all the time all the information about the product, add services like lost and found, etc. So, and obviously at the end of the day, a very easy way to resell and transfer the product. And I'll come back to that just after. So let's look at the architecture that is going to be needed to actually implement this digital passport, because all brands will have to do it by 2026. First of all, you need connected components on every single object. So connected components that can be scannable. So there are just two that work with everything, QR codes and NFC chips. And believe me, just the fact to add a QR code and an NFC chip to every single product in the supply chain, and it's not easy. Okay? It takes time. This QR code will have to be linked to a persistent interface showing data about the product, and that can last forever, at least as long as the product lasts. Okay, so that's number one thing. This data needs to come from somewhere. It needs to come from a new brand-owned data place, structured database where you gather content, you make calculations, you're able to check if the data is good for this compliance in this zone, because EU is going to ask you for some regulation, but then anytime soon California and Japan will do the same, and that will not be exactly the same. And then there's this opportunity to add on top a new kind of data, a customer-owned data about ownership that is neither centralized by the brand nor by any kind of third party that would want to make any business on top of it. So the infrastructure is built like that. First, you gather data in new kind of product-centric databases. Then you create new product-based experiences and interfaces with scannable elements and persistent interfaces. And last, you can add the possibility of ownership intelligence by empowering users with the data they control about what they own. So you go from collecting to being compliant and offering the possibility to read to truly offering value. So how can that solve the challenges that I raised at the beginning? Circularity. Okay. Many second-hand purchases are the first step into a brand for a user. The first product I buy for young generations might be a second-hand product. So some of your clients, you don't know them, you still target them on socials, but they are owners of the products that you own. So distributing pieces of data that people can circulate and transfer is a way to be connected to people that are part of the community, that are already consumers, even though they haven't bought anything firsthand. So this will have necessarily an impact on cost of acquisition and the money we spend paying socials and big tech to reach people and reach them again. And then, in a world where every product will come with a digital passport, the possibility to one day add royalties on products, the day it's so easy and the entire infrastructure of secondhand is profitable, it's fluid, it's easy for everyone, for users, for secondhand marketplaces, then there can be a new deal. If all the services are here and it's easy, maybe there's a possibility to add royalties, which would mean tomorrow revenues coming from something else than selling something new and something newly produced. Client data control. This new user data infrastructure based on ownership is also a huge opportunity to regain sovereignty over data. For once, to have a data that you don't have to protect, that you don't have to pay for, that is natively dynamic, that is issued by brand, that is owned by users. So if you look at how this architecture is, because it's going to cost, it's going to be long, and it's going to take time to be implemented. You look at this BCG study on DPP, and you see that the value for brands over time will come from the possibility to deploy this new data infrastructure and to create new revenue streams based on ownership. So the CRM of tomorrow, basically the way you interact with your users, is completely different from today. You have the first-party data, the things you know and you collect, static and non-dynamic. And then on top, you have user-owned data. User-owned data that you can read. It's not because it's in the hand of users that you don't have access to it. Obviously, the user has the choice. They always have the choice. They have the choice to show or not show. They have the choice to get rid of the asset, move it out, and not be recognized as the owner of it. So it's new possibilities to understand, new insights, but also new segmentations possibilities. The client account of tomorrow is completely different. Today, it's all about purchase and returns. Tomorrow, it's about what I own, maybe what I gifted, specific services that are allowing me to easily resell, repair, recycle, insure, to have specific recommendations, maybe specific targeted communications around exactly what I own. So, I missed one. So, this is going to take time, definitely. With AGEC coming up, DPP, regulation, the end of cookies, all of that is taking you to 2026. And it's pretty much the time it takes to test, prototype, understand all of that, find the new set of technology partners that will help you do that. And it's not science fiction, with millions and millions of products come with digital product passports today. My Nike shoes have a digital asset coming to it. This T-shirt has a digital asset, an NFC chip. I can even give you a digital asset as a proof that we met. My Panerai watch has a digital product passport. So all of that is coming up, even though it's still a little bit below the surface. But it's time to really look into that, and not with the thinking that it is just going to be a constraint and we just have to comply, but with the idea that we can truly change the revenue model and the cost model to have a positive impact on business and on companies while changing the way we do fashion. Thank you very much.